The pressure to belong will put most girls into trouble. Be content with what you have. This is a true life story. A story written by Christy Midnight Tales. Her name was Precious, the first daughter of a widow who sold firewood by the roadside. Their house in the village stood like an abandoned relic, cracked walls, leaking roof, and a front door that trembled whenever the wind blew. Each time it rained, her mother would scatter old basins around the room to catch the dripping water. Precious hated that house, not because she didn't love her mother, but because the sight of it reminded her how poor they truly were. Every festive season, when people returned home with cars and new clothes, she hid inside, pretending to be sick. When she finished secondary school, she told her mother she wanted to go to Lagos. Her mother hesitated, but Precious insisted. She wanted a new beginning, a life where beauty could finally mean something. Lagos welcomed her with struggle. She got a job in a boutique on the island, arranging dresses and attending to customers who often treated her like furniture. The pay was small, but it kept her alive. Still, every evening after work, she watched girls who came to the boutique, same age, same beauty, but dressed in designer clothes, carrying expensive handbags, their phones glittering with gold casings. She would ask herself quietly, what are they doing that I'm not? One of those girls was Titi. Titi wasn't a staff, she was a regular customer. She had confidence that filled every room she entered, always smiling, always talking about her runs, her clients, and her business trips. But beneath all the glamour, what caught Precious' attention most was her body: slim waist, full hips, rounded backside. People looked when Titi walked by. It didn't take long before they became friends. Titi liked the way Precious admired her and began visiting more often, sometimes just to chat. One afternoon, while they sat at the back of the boutique sorting new arrivals, Precious finally asked, "Titi, how did you do it? You're always glowing." Titi laughed softly. "Baby, this glow costs money. Nothing comes for free in Lagos." Then she leaned closer and whispered, "You're beautiful, Precious. But in this city, beauty alone is not enough, you must look like money to attract money. Have you ever thought about doing your body?" Precious blinked. "My body? Bbl, Brazilian butt lift. That's what changed everything for me. After mine, my life opened." That night, Precious went home restless. She stood in front of her mirror for hours, turning side to side, studying her slim frame. She imagined herself caviar, imagined men offering her gifts, imagined posting pictures that would make her village people speechless. She even imagined building her mother a mansion, but then reality hit. Where would she find the money? Over the next few weeks, she started saving little by little from her salary, skipping meals, ignoring transport fares just to add something to the dream. But the numbers never added up. $10,000 was what she needed, and she hadn't even saved 1%. One morning, she broke down and told Titi everything, about the house in the village, about her mother, about how much she wanted to change her life. Titi listened quietly, then smiled. "There's someone who can help you," she said. "An Alhaji I know. He helps girls, but only serious ones. You just have to pay him back later." Precious hesitated. "Pay back how?" Titi shrugged. "Don't worry about that now. Just look good and be polite." That evening, they took a cab to a large mansion in Ikoyi. The compound was quiet, guarded by men in black. Precious' palms were sweating. Inside, everything smelled of money: marble floors, gold furniture, and an air conditioner that hummed softly like a song. Titi led her into a spacious living room. A man in his late 50s sat there, dressed in a white kaftan, his wristwatch glinting under the light. "Alhaji, this is the girl I told you about," Titi said. Alhaji studied her for a moment, then smiled. "So this is Precious. You truly are beautiful." "And without wasting time," he said, "you need $10,000, right?" "Yes sir," she said. He smiled faintly. "I can help you, Precious. But understand, it's not free. You'll pay back $11,000 in 2 months. Can you do that?" Her eyes widened. 2 months. He leaned forward. "After your surgery, life will open for you. You'll meet people, make money, and you'll pay me back easily. I'm not asking for much, just seriousness." Titi turned to her. "Trust him, Precious. He helped me too." Precious' heart was racing. Every logical part of her screamed, "Don't do it," but her mind kept showing her the image of a new house for her mother, a mansion with clean walls and a shining roof. Alhaji motioned to his assistant, who brought a file. "Read and sign," he said. Precious took the document. The words blurred before her eyes. She barely understood the terms. Her hands trembled as she picked up the pen. "Don't rush," Alhaji said, smiling. "Just make sure you understand." But she wasn't listening anymore. She saw only the dream. She signed her name. Alhaji reached into his drawer, brought out a check, and slid it across the table. "Here you go. $10,000. Make sure you use it well." Precious stared at it, her throat tightening. It felt like the world had finally opened its doors. She whispered, "Thank you, sir." After that evening at Alhaji's mansion, Precious could barely sleep. The check lay on her bed, and she kept staring at it as though it was a dream. $10,000. The amount she had prayed for all her life was now in her hands. She woke up early the next morning, got dressed, and went straight to the bank. When the money finally reflected in her account, she couldn't stop smiling. Everything felt new. The air, the sky, even the sound of traffic in Lagos. She called Titi immediately. "It has entered," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. Titi laughed from the other end. "Good. I already spoke with my plug. He'll help you process everything. Start packing, you're going to Turkey next week." The days that followed were a blur of preparation, new clothes, passport updates, and constant mirror checks. She stopped by the boutique once more to collect her final pay. Her boss asked if she was traveling for vacation, and she simply smiled and said, "Something like that." When the plane took off, she held her chest tightly, whispering a silent prayer. "God, let this be the beginning of a new life." 2 weeks later, she returned to Lagos a changed woman. Her waist was smaller, her hips wider, her backside full and round. Her new body drew attention everywhere she went. Titi picked her up from the airport and screamed when she saw her. "Girl, you look like money." Precious laughed, though every laugh came with a wince of pain. Sitting was hard, sleeping was harder, and walking long distances felt like carrying fire behind her. The doctor had warned her before she left, "Your body needs at least 2 months to heal properly. No heavy lifting, no exercise, and no intimacy. You must rest." She nodded obediently at the time, but in her mind, 2 months felt like forever. Alhaji's voice echoed every night in her head. 2 months to pay back $11,000. She barely lasted a week indoors. By the 8th day, she was already doing her makeup and taking pictures. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Men she had never met were suddenly messaging her, calling her beautiful, gorgeous, and perfect. She posted a few photos online, and within hours, she gained hundreds of new followers. Titi became her manager, introducing her to people, linking her up for parties and events. The first outing was at a private yacht party in Banana Island. She wore a tight dress that shaped her figure perfectly. Everyone stared. The attention was intoxicating. Men offered her drinks, compliments, and promises. By the end of the night, she had already made her first $1,000. For the first time, she believed everything was falling into place. She sent 500,000 Nigerian nairas to her mother, telling her that business was finally moving. Her mother called her with tears of joy. "I told you, my daughter. God has started blessing us." Precious smiled through the pain in her body, whispering, "Yes, Mama." But behind the excitement was something darker. Every morning, when she woke up, her body felt heavier. The pain in her lower back was getting worse. She brushed it off, convincing herself it was normal. 2 weeks later, she received a call from him. "Precious, how are you?" "I'm fine, sir. I trust you're working hard. You have 1 month left. Don't forget." When the call ended, her hands were trembling. She opened her drawer, looked at the few bundles of cash she had managed to make, and sighed. It wasn't even close. The next weekend, she agreed to another event. Then another. Then another. Her body was screaming for rest, but her mind kept shouting money. By the 3rd week, she could no longer lie flat on her back. The pain had spread to her thighs and lower stomach. She told Titi she needed a break. Titi frowned. "A break? You're owing Alhaji. If you don't pay him, you'll regret it." That evening, Alhaji sent her a message. "I hope you remember our agreement. You wouldn't want me to come looking for you." She felt her stomach twist. She began taking painkillers, handfuls of them, just to survive each outing. But the more she forced herself, the worse she became. Alhaji's calls would wake her up in the morning. "Precious, good morning," he would say. "You know I don't like to remind people more than once. 2 months is almost up. When should I expect my $11,000? She'd lie on her bed, staring at the ceiling, her phone pressed weakly to her ear. "Alhaji, please, I'm trying. Just give me a little more time. I've been sick since the surgery." But Alhaji would only chuckle lightly. "My dear, sickness doesn't stop business. You signed. You promised." Then he'd end the call, leaving her trembling. Every morning was the same. Calls, messages, threats masked with politeness, and every night the pain in her body grew worse. The surgery had started to turn against her. She would touch her skin and feel heat beneath it. Her waist felt heavier each day, and she could sense something wasn't right. The doctor's words echoed in her head: "You need 7 million naira every week to maintain it." 7 million. A figure that mocked her every time she checked her account balance. She tried to reach out to some of the men she used to meet before, but things had changed. Her body was no longer perfect. The glossy skin she once flaunted had started to change color around the surgery area. The smell was faint at first, something she could hide with perfume. But soon, it became unbearable. Few weeks later, her condition worsened. She couldn't stand up straight anymore. Her legs shook when she tried to walk. Her once glamorous apartment now smelled faintly of decay. The girl who left the village dreaming of building a mansion was now trapped in a rented flat, fighting to stay alive. She regretted ever having to do a BBL, worse still, using it to have fun with men when it wasn't properly healed. The next morning, Alhaji sent someone to her house. A tall man in a white kaftan stood by her door, knocking gently. "Madam Precious," he said. "I'm here on Alhaji's behalf." She didn't open the door. She sat on the floor, trembling. "Tell him I'll pay," she whispered, even though no one could hear her. The man left, but the pressure didn't stop. The next day, Alhaji himself called again. "Since you don't want to cooperate, I'll find another way," he said. "You told me you're from Umuoche village, right? Don't test me, Precious. I'll go there." That night, she didn't sleep. Her mind raced between fear and pain. She wanted to call her mother, but she couldn't bear to tell her what she had done. Then one afternoon, her phone rang again, but it wasn't Alhaji. It was Titi. "Precious, what is going on? Do you want Alhaji to hold me responsible for your debt? Please, I don't care whatever pain you're passing through. Pay the money Alhaji lent you, and let me tell you now. Alhaji sent some of his men to go and get your mother from the village." Her heart dropped. "What?" Precious burst into tears. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Oh God, what have I done?" She tried to get up, but her body wouldn't move. Her waist was now stiff. Her skin had started peeling. She was decaying while still breathing. The smell had become so strong that neighbors began to notice. By the time Alhaji's men returned to Lagos to check on her again, she was barely conscious. They found her lying on her bed, her phone beside her, her body motionless but still warm. She was breathing faintly, eyes half open. One of the men called Alhaji immediately. "She's almost gone," he said. "Leave her," Alhaji replied coldly. "I already have her mother." Alhaji had truly gone to Umuocha, Precious's small village, a place where dreams rarely came true. The villagers watched in silence that afternoon as a black SUV rolled into the dusty compound where Precious's mother lived. When the men stepped out, she hurriedly wiped her hands on her wrapper and greeted them. "You're welcome, my sons. Please, who are you looking for?" The tallest of them replied, "We're here because of your daughter, Precious." Mama Agnes smiled faintly, thinking maybe her daughter had sent something home. "Oh, my Precious. Has she sent you? Please, come inside, let me bring chairs." But the man didn't smile. He brought out a file and handed it to her. "Madam, your daughter is owing Alhaji $10,000 with an agreement to pay 11,000 within 2 months. The time is up. Since she can't pay, you stand in for her until she does." She froze. What did you say?" "You heard me, Mama. Your daughter signed this herself." Mama Agnes held the papers with trembling hands. "But, I don't understand this. My daughter never told me anything like this." The men ignored her confusion. Within minutes, they packed a small bag of her clothes and told her she was coming with them. The neighbors tried to ask questions, but one glare from the men silenced everyone. That was how Mama Agnes was taken from her home, confused, helpless, and heartbroken. They drove her straight to Alhaji's mansion in Lagos. When she arrived, Alhaji was seated in his large sitting room, counting money. "Oh, Mama," he said calmly, not even looking up. "Your daughter disappointed me. But since she can't pay, you'll work it out here." She fell to her knees immediately. "Please, sir, have mercy. I don't even know what happened. My daughter hasn't called me in days." But Alhaji waved his hand. "Work is prayer, Mama. Just clean the house, cook, and take care of my laundry. We'll see how it goes." From that day, Mama Agnes became his house help at her old age. Every morning, she swept the marble floors that stretched wider than her entire compound in the village. She cooked for his family, washed their clothes, and sometimes slept on the corridor when she was too tired to move. Each night, she cried quietly, wondering what went wrong with her only child. She didn't know that at that very same time, Precious was dying slowly. Meanwhile, Precious's condition had gotten worse. Her skin had begun to peel off in patches. The smell in her apartment became unbearable. Even the neighbors upstairs complained. After some days, Alhaji received a call that Precious had died. She had no one to look after her condition and the surgery wasn't properly taken care of, because she couldn't meet up to the amount, 7 million naira weekly, for 5 weeks just to maintain her BBL. She died because she wanted to belong to the big girls gang. Her BBL wasn't properly healed, yet she used it to have fun with different men. Even after her death, Alhaji still held her mother, insisting she must work for him till he is satisfied. Moral lesson: do not envy, be content with what you have. Greed kills. The quest to belong took Precious to her early grave. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a beautiful comment. See you again in my next story.